Welcome back to Advanced Analytical English C1 C2, the podcast dedicated to helping high-level learners navigate complex real-world topics with nuance and precision. I'm Laura.
And I'm Thomas. Today, we're taking a subject that almost everyone has experienced, having a bank card declined and looking beyond the initial awkwardness. We'll analyze the underlying technical and operational mechanisms, evaluate immediate crisis management strategies, and examine the precise language you need to resolve these situations assertively and diplomatically.
It's a fascinating topic because a card decline is rarely a simple matter of having insufficient funds. It sits at the intersection of automated risk algorithms, banking protocols, merchant payment gateways, and personal financial management.
Exactly. At first glance, a decline seems like an embarrassing personal mistake. However, on closer examination, it often reflects a hypersensitive security measure designed to protect the cardholder rather than penalize them.
That brings us to our central question. How can professionals distinguish between technical glitches, risk triggers, and liquidity constraints in real time? And what specific communication strategies allow them to resolve the issue without unnecessary friction?
To establish essential context, we need to understand that card authorizations rely on a multi-step digital handshake. When you swipe, tap, or enter card details online, the merchant's point-of-sale terminal sends an encrypted request to an acquiring bank, which routes it through payment networks like Visa or MasterCard to your issuing bank.
If any link in that chain experiences a latency spike, a security trigger, or a data mismatch, such as an incorrect CVV or billing zip code, the transaction is abruptly terminated.
Let's look at the primary perspective supporting rapid fraud prevention. Financial institutions rely on machine learning models that monitor spending velocity, geographical anomalies, and transaction size. If you normally buy coffee in London and suddenly purchase high-end electronics in Tokyo, the system triggers an immediate authorization hold. From the bank's viewpoint, a false positive declining a legitimate transaction is far less costly than absorbing fraudulent charges.
That argument has considerable merit from a risk mitigation standpoint. But there is a compelling counter-argument. Excessive automated interventions create significant friction for consumers and merchants alike. When anti-fraud algorithms act with aggressive rigidity, they disrupt legitimate commerce and cause reputational embarrassment for customers at the point of sale.
That raises a critical nuance. We ought to distinguish between available balance and settled funds, as well as between a hard decline and a temporary administrative hold.
That distinction is vital. A hard decline occurs when an account lacks credit or funds, or when a card is blocked permanently due to confirmed compromise. A temporary administrative hold, by contrast, occurs when businesses like hotels or car rental agencies place a pre-authorization hold on your account to cover potential incidentals. Your total balance might show $10,000, but your available balance could be significantly less because of pending authorizations.
Let's ground this in a realistic scenario. Consider Sarah, an international consultant attending a conference abroad. Upon checking out of her hotel, her corporate card is declined for a $3,000 bill. She knows her account is fully funded.
If Sarah panics or reacts defensively, she risks escalating the tension at the reception desk. Instead, an analytical approach requires her to separate the immediate transaction from the root cause. She uses a secondary payment method for the immediate charge, opens her banking application to check for automated fraud alerts, and contacts her card issuer to clarify whether the transaction flagged an international travel trigger or exceeded a daily cross-border ceiling.
Notice how Sarah managed both the operational disruption and the interpersonal communication. This brings us to our language focus for today's episode. We've used several sophisticated expressions that are essential for handling these discussions with precision and composure.
Let's examine 5 key expressions from our discussion. First, to trigger an authorization hold. This means an automated security system has temporarily frozen funds or blocked transactions due to suspected irregularity. For example, the sudden transaction in Madrid triggered an authorization hold on my primary account. Second, to distinguish between available and settled funds. Settled funds are fully processed, whereas available funds account for pending charges and pre-authorization blocks. For instance, before assuming an administrative error, we should distinguish between available and settled funds. Third, a false positive. In financial risk management, a false positive occurs when a legitimate transaction is incorrectly flagged as fraudulent. For example, the anti-fraud algorithm produced a false positive, blocking my rental car deposit. Fourth, to exercise due diligence. This refers to taking reasonable, proactive measures to prevent predictable issues. For instance, filing a travel notice before departing is standard due diligence for international travelers. Fifth, to rectify a procedural mismatch. This analytical phrase means resolving a disagreement caused by administrative or technical discrepancies, such as an outdated billing address or mismatched security codes. For example, I am contacting customer service to rectify a procedural mismatch on my billing profile.
Exploring the deeper implications of automated banking oversight reveals broader ethical and systemic questions. As financial networks rely increasingly on autonomous algorithmic decision-making, human intervention becomes harder to access quickly.
Indeed, the trade-off for enhanced institutional security is often consumer friction. If an automated algorithm locks an account on a weekend or during international travel, the cardholder may face severe logistical challenges while waiting for customer service verification.
Now, let me invite our listeners to participate in an advanced speaking practice session. I will provide 6 scenario prompts. Practice formulating your response aloud, applying the precise structures and hedging language we've analyzed today.
Prompt 1. State your position diplomatically when a merchant informs you that your card has been declined at checkout.
A model response would be, "That is unexpected, as the underlying account is fully funded. It appears to be a temporary authorization hold or a network processing glitch. So I will utilize a secondary card while I contact my institution."
Prompt 2. Explain to a customer support representative that your transaction was blocked while traveling.
A model response. "I am calling to rectify an automated block placed on my account. The recent charge in Zurich was legitimate, and I would like to confirm my travel itinerary so you can lift the fraud alert immediately."
Prompt 3. Qualify a claim regarding whether anti-fraud algorithms are overly aggressive.
A model response. "While automated risk monitoring is essential for institutional security, there is a compelling argument that hypersensitive parameters generate unnecessary false positives for legitimate users."
Prompt 4. Differentiate between a lack of capital and a pre-authorization hold when speaking to a colleague.
A model response. "We shouldn't assume the project card ran out of budget. It is far more likely that the hotel pre-authorization hold temporarily reduced our available balance."
Prompt 5. Acknowledge a merchant's policy while proposing a practical alternative.
A model response. "I completely understand that your system cannot override a declined authorization. Allow me to settle this invoice via direct bank transfer or alternative card while I resolve the issue with my issuer."
Prompt 6. Draw a balanced conclusion about best practices for managing personal liquidity assets.
A model response. Ultimately, maintaining operational redundancy by carrying multiple payment networks and setting travel alerts remains the most effective strategy to mitigate unexpected card declines.
Excellent practice. Moving to practical application. How can professionals structure written or spoken communication when resolving these issues with financial institutions or corporate travel departments?
In formal professional correspondence, adopt a precise, objective tone. Instead of writing, "Your system made a mistake and blocked my card," write, "I am writing to inquire about an unexpected authorization decline on transaction ID 8492. Please verify whether this stems from some automated risk threshold or a billing address mismatch."
To synthesize our discussion today, a card decline should be analyzed as a multi-layered system event rather than a personal failure.
We've established that while financial institutions prioritize aggressive fraud detection to minimize risk, consumers must exercise due diligence by maintaining payment redundancy, monitoring pre-authorization holds, and communicating clearly with issuers.
This brings us to our final reflective question. How effectively do your current personal financial workflows protect you against automated operational disruptions?
Developing advanced English fluency requires moving beyond simple vocabulary into mastering the structural, diplomatic, and analytical framing required in high-stakes situations.
Thank you for tuning in to Advanced Analytical English C1 C2. Keep practicing precision, challenging assumptions, and refining your analytical voice.
Goodbye for now, and join us again in our next episode.